Hi, welcome back. Today we are going to read, starting with chapter 12, Raisinets. It's Saturday night, and my mom has a date with Ben. They're going to drop off my grandfather and me at the movie theater, grab dinner, and pick us up on the way home. I watch her as she gets ready. Her hair is blue now. She changed it a few days ago. And when my grandfather saw it, he shook his head and asked if she was working for the circus. How do I look? My mom asked me. She models her outfit: a purple skirt, a silver sequin top, a wide black vinyl belt, and tall pleather boots. Sometimes it's a little hard having a mom who's hipper than you are. Great. The doorbell rings and my mom says what she always says. Tell Ben I'll be down in a minute. Ben is standing on the front porch with a bouquet of carnations. Even though he and my mom are way past the flower stage, he brings her flowers every time they have a date. I think it's sweet. How's it hanging? He asks, which is what he always says. My mom says that the thing she loves most about Ben is that there is no drama, which is a funny thing for a drama teacher to say. I like that he doesn't try to be my dad. He's just Ben. She's still getting ready. She'll be down in a few minutes, I say, although he and I both know she'll probably be a while. Ben's eyes crinkle, and he says half jokingly, I'd wait for your mother forever. He asked my mother to marry him twice, and both times she told him she wasn't ready. I once overheard her tell Bernadette she was scared of making a mistake again. My grandfather walks into the hall and gives Ben an icy look. In addition to his usual polyester pants and button-up shirt, he's put on a crimson tie. He told me he always dresses up when he goes to the movies. You must be Ellie's cousin, Ben says. Melvin, right? I'm Ben. My grandfather doesn't say anything. He just gives Ben a hostile look. Ben nods at my grandfather's tie. So you're a tie guy, huh? That's pretty classic. Classic is definitely a word to describe my grandfather. My mother walks in. You look beautiful, Lisa, he says. She points at her top. Not too sparkly? It's perfect. Ben smiles. You need a shawl, my grandfather tells her. What? All that skin, my grandfather insists. It's like something a teenager would wear. You need a shawl. My mother's mouth opens and closes in fury. After the movie, my grandfather and I wait outside to get picked up. The nightly parade is going on. Girls walk with arms linked by boys who pretend not to notice them, while other boys whiz by on skateboards. Idiot, my grandfather comments when a skateboarder executes a neat flip. One good fall and he'll need a knee replacement. He shakes his box of Raisinets. He's already worked his way through a bag of popcorn, a box of gummy bears, nachos, root beer, and a milkshake. They're not as good as they used to be, he complains. They're just chocolate covered raisins, I say. How can they taste different? They were just better, like a lot of things. Like what? Like movies. That one was a piece of garbage. Back in my day, they made quality movies. It was an animated fairy tale, and I didn't like it much either. I'd really wanted to see a Japanese horror movie, but it was sold out. I like scary films. I'm not a big fairy tale fan, mostly because I always wonder about the after part of Happily Ever After, like in The Three Little Pigs. What happened after the third pig cooked the wolf in the pot? Did he hold a funeral and let the wolf's friends know? Or with Cinderella? Sure, she got the prince, but what about the stepsisters? They were still her family. Did she have to see them at Thanksgiving dinner? Talk about awkward. Looks like Halloween is early this year, my grandfather says, gesturing to a group of goth boys standing in line. I find myself looking for Raj, but he's not there. A sweet-looking old lady pushing an equally elderly man in a wheelchair passes us. The man is hunched over and holding a cane. He's wearing dark polyester pants, a button-up shirt, a navy blue blazer, and loafers with dark socks. He's dressed just like my grandfather. Do you see that, Ellie? Growing old is a terrible disease. Things you take for granted, you lose. Your ability to walk, your vision, your hearing, even being able to go to the bathroom. Huh? He gives me a knowing look. Everything falls apart when you get old. Believe me. You don't want to know how many times I used to get up during the night to pee. I nod, my head in agreement. That is way too much information. But that's not even the worst of it. They stick you away in nursing homes and assisted living facilities just because you're old. Kind of like middle school. Then, you know what happens? He pauses dramatically. Everybody around you starts dying. Heart attacks, strokes, cancer. People you've known your whole life are just gone. People you love. Can you imagine how painful that is? I think of Brianna. There's a chorus of laughter from a bunch of kids as a boy kicks his skateboard in the air. Rather be dead than old, he declares. Then he crumples the Raisinets box. I'm still hungry, he says. It's the end of chapter 12. And chapter 13, Hank. Things are a little different with my grandfather living with us. The pull-out couch in the den is permanently pulled out, and our antique bookshelves have been emptied and turned into an open dresser. The whole room has a gamey boy sock locker room smell. My mother has taken to spraying air freshener when he isn't looking. My grandfather has a few quirks. He's always ready to go somewhere a good half hour before it's time to leave. He drinks a cup of hot tea every day because it's good for digestion. He has a thing about trash. You should put the trash cans out at night, he tells my mom. I like to do it in the morning, she says. What if you forget? My mom grits her teeth. I won't forget. You might, he says, and you'll end up with 2 weeks of trash cans. Then you'll have a real problem. There's no need to try to figure out what he really means, the way there sometimes is with girls. He's blunt. And he always does what he says he will. So when he doesn't show up at the end of the school day, I start to get nervous. I'm waiting for him in our usual meeting spot, the flagpole in front of the school. The stream of kids rushing by slows to a trickle, but he's still nowhere in sight. I know he wouldn't just leave me here, and then I remember Nicole talking about old people wandering off. Even though my grandfather has a teenager's boy body, he's still 76-year-old brain. I check by his locker and his last class of the day, but nothing. Now, I'm getting really worried. So, I go to one of the boys' bathrooms and shout in the door, Melvin? Raj walks out. I think you have the wrong bathroom, he says. Is Melvin in there? Want me to check? Will you? I ask. He's back in a minute. He shakes his head. Nope, no Melvin. Where is he? I ask. Something like a panic fills me. Raj says, I'll help you look for him. He's around here somewhere, I'm sure. Raj checks all the boys' bathrooms and locker rooms, but he's nowhere. It's only when we're going past my locker that I see it, a note sticking to the metal. I'm in detention, Melvin. Raj offers to wait with me. We sit on a bench outside the detention room. He's fun to talk to. Your cousin's a little strange, he says. I look at him. I mean, the way he dresses and all, those polyester pants, he reminds me of my grandfather. If he only knew. Yeah, just kind of his style, I guess, I say. Huh? He says. He's got a dangling earring in his right ear. It looks like a hieroglyphic. That's Egyptian, right? It's an ankh. It's the Egyptian symbol for life, he explains. Cool, I say. So you kind of have a thing for ancient Egyptian stuff. Kind of. Did you know they left in the heart? What? When they made mummies, they took out all the organs, but they left in the heart. Why did they do that? His eyes are serious. They believe that the heart did the thinking. The detention door bangs open and kids flood out. My grandfather storms up to us, red in the face, his hair bouncing everywhere. What happened? I ask him. I used the facilities, he says. He's not making any sense. The facilities? The toilet, my grandfather snaps. I went to the toilet during class without getting a bathroom pass. Apparently, that's a state crime. A bunch of kids who are in detention with my grandfather shoot him a high five signs when they pass. One laughs and says, "Fight the power, bro." My grandfather gives him a withering look. "You're supposed to take a hall pass when you go to the bathroom," I explain. "By the way, the teacher who sentenced me should not be teaching history. She's 22 if she's a day." He shakes his head in disgust. "What does she know about anything?" "Maybe next time you should just take the pass," Raj suggests. "I prefer my dignity," he announces. As he marches off, hair flying, I realize my mind's wrong. He does have a flair for drama. That is the end of 13. 14's short, so we're going to read that too. All right, chapter 14, cheese. My mom gets home from school early. When she walks in the door, she's carrying 2 big bags of groceries. "Rehearsals are going great, so I let everyone have the day off. I thought I'd make us dinner." She enthuses. She adds, "I feel like I've been neglecting you lately, Ellie." She spends the rest of the afternoon in the kitchen. When we go in for dinner, it looks like a tornado hit the place. Dirty bowls and measuring cups are piled in the sink, the flowers all over the counter. She must have used every single pot in the house. "Dinner is served," she announces, and places our plates in front of us with a flourish. There's a breaded, fried, patty-like thing lying in the middle of each plate. Next to it is some asparagus. My grandfather and I both take a bite. "So?" my mom asks. "What do you think?" "It's mushy with a weird texture and has way too much pepper." My grandfather makes a face. "What is this supposed to be?" "Fried eggplant," she says. His answer is decisive. "Nope, don't like it." She looks at me. "Do you like it?" I shake my head. Her shoulders sag in defeat. The eggplant goes in the trash and we order Chinese. My grandfather and I are in the kitchen the next day after school, and he's complaining about my mother's cooking. If she had paid as much attention in chemistry as she did to this theater nonsense, she'd be a good cook, he says. He exaggerates the word theater so that it sounds like theater. "Chemistry? What does that have to do with anything?" He looks at me. "Cooking is science." It is. It has always seemed so arty to me. "It's all about basic chemistry," he says. "In fact, science has fingerprints all over the kitchen." He opens the refrigerator and takes out a block of cheese, waves it. "Louis Pasteur discovered a way to kill bacteria in drinks. Pasteurization, or heating at high temperatures. It was practically a miracle at the time. That's why we can drink milk and eat cheese without getting sick." I had no idea that cheese was a miracle. "I like to cook," I tell him. "Of course you do," he says, as if it's perfectly obvious. "You take after me." Maybe I do take after him. He claps his hands. "Let's make dinner." "What should we make?" I ask. Most of my recipes are breakfast-oriented. He looks in the refrigerator, then goes to the green wooden recipe box on the windowsill above the sink. The recipe box belonged to my grandmother. Sometimes, when my mother's had a bad day, she'll pull out the little cards and read them. She says she just likes to look at her mother's handwriting. My grandfather ticks through the old recipes with a critical eye and pulls one out. "Ah, yes. This will do nicely," he says. I look at the recipe card. It has stains on it like it's been used a lot. Oh. In perfect loopy cursive, it reads, "Cagavin, Melvin's favorite." He adds, "And it's French, like Louis Pasteur. The only French food I've ever eaten is French fries." "You can't go wrong with French food," he assures me. "It's the best cuisine in the world." We settle in at the kitchen counter, working side by side. He's a tidy cook. He cleans up as he goes along, just like me. He shows me how to cut the carrots, how to brown the chicken with bacon, how to combine everything and simmer with red wine. I start to see how the kitchen is kind of like a laboratory. The glass bowls, the measuring spoons, the gas flame on the stove like it's a Bunsen burner. When you think about it, even cooks' white aprons are similar to white lab coats scientists wear. But maybe there's a little magic in cooking, taking all the plain old ingredients and turning them into comfort and memory. Because when my mom walks in the door, she sniffs the air expectantly. Something smells wonderful, she says. We cooked dinner, I say. My grandfather holds out a plate to her. Is that? She starts to ask. My grandfather finishes her sentence. Your mom's kagavin. She takes a bite and her face turns up in a smile. It tastes exactly the way I remember it, she murmurs. His eyes shine. Yes, he says. And that is the end of chapter 14. We are a little bit more than halfway done the book. I will see you next time for chapter 15.